Today I've partnered up with my friends over at Benjamin Moore to completely flip our master bedroom closet that Paul and I share. Right now it is jam-packed because we have not taken the time to go through it. So I'm going to bring you through every step, every phase, how I break down a makeover such as this, because it is a very daunting makeover, but let's just dive right into it. There are a lot of things in this closet that have not moved in the 7 years that I have lived here. For example, the shoe boxes you see, those are collector shoes that Paul doesn't wear, isn't intending to wear, and is just keeping here for storage. The ones that are open on these racks right here, again, have never moved, because if you have been with me for a while, you know that we have an entire mudroom with skateboard shelves that hold all of our shoes, so we don't need the shoes in here. I don't even wear half of these clothes, 3/4 of these clothes, so I'm excited to dive in and really see what we can get rid of and donate to the people that actually need it versus it sitting in our closet. Side note, this little jewelry moment, this is a DIY, like OG DIY here on my channel, but let's jump into phase one, which is clean up and clean out. I feel like that's where any makeover needs to start. You need to start with a clean slate, but you also need to kind of just, Marie Kondo the thing as well. What sparks joy, what doesn't? So that is exactly what I did for about 2 days straight. This is the last section that I want to tackle today, and then everything on my top row. I basically want to clear my half so doing Paul's half isn't as daunting. Right now I'm excited about the project, but I know myself. I'm going to get over it real quick. Now I'm going to want to get to the fun phases. Those are donations. These I'm going to be giving to my friends and family, and everything else I'm just going to pull and kind of place in our bedroom, and then we need to do Paul's side. I am not the YouTuber to come on here and be in different outfits and show you guys how I'm doing this looking all cute. You bet your bottom dollar that that sounded, I don't know what that was, but anyways, you bet that I just handled this accordingly with the time that I had. So before everybody was waking up, I was in my robe just going through this closet trying to get it to its bare bones to start the actual makeover, and it always gets worse before it gets better. This is what our room looked like after I unloaded everything into it. Now's the time though. Clothes over there, donations, shelving, and then here we are. This might sound crazy, but I really wanted to show you the power of paint, and painting laminate definitely isn't ideal, but I wanted to make it work because I didn't need to build out an entire closet. The bones itself was great. It just needed to be updated and upgraded. Before we are able to paint, we need to prime and prep, which is phase 2 of most of my makeovers, just to get everything ready for the big shebang, which is the paint, because it is the messiest. So I took everything off the walls that I needed to, patched up all the holes with my joint compound, moved on to ripping out the carpet, because there's one thing I hate the most. It literally is this. It is having carpet in a bathroom closet, because our closet is in our bathroom. So when we get out of the shower and walk into here, we're like consistently bringing water in here, and it's just like out of control. It bothers me so much. So when I had the opportunity to rip it out, I figured, why not? Let's just go for it. The biggest tips I have when you're doing sort of a massive makeover is make it manageable. So for instance, I'm doing this completely by myself, which means I need to be cutting down the carpet in sections that is manageable for me and not going to be breaking my back at the end of the day. And also, it's not more than I can handle. I'm not going to feel overwhelmed and then get stressed out and deflated this early on in the makeover, because I think people bite off more than they can chew, but I also think people demo out and kind of pile up more than they can chew, which just makes makeover is not fun. Moving on to removing the nails from the floorboard, I just turn my hammer sideways, slide it back and forth, and that works like a charm for me. I just have to do that 1,000,001 times till they are all off the floor, and then I clean it on up. I liked where all my drawers were at, so I just painter taped over the hardware, like the sliding, what is that called? The track for the drawers. I just taped over them before I painted, and then I had to move everything that we're demoing, all the shelving, all the carpet. I had to move it out to the side of the house. And no, I don't have a balcony to just throw it over. I had to, just get in my steps. I wish I knew what my steps were this day, because holy moly, this I think is hands down the worst part of any makeover. Now we get to move on to phase 3, which is officially seeing the biggest part of the makeover, which is the paint. I needed to degloss the surface because this is a laminate furniture. Well, not furniture, but is a laminate covering on this shelving. So I used liquid sandpaper and a combination of liquid deglosser, which I walk you guys through on my fireplace makeover. So go watch that video if you want the full breakdown. Follow the instructions. I started to use a paint roller as well to cover larger surface area since I needed to work fairly quickly. I removed the trim of the door because we're going to be changing that out, and I moved on to doing an extra step by orbital sanding the entire closet down to make sure that this paint was going to stick and rough up every surface available in this closet shelving that I was intending to paint. Once everything was cleaned off, dust-free, and good to go, that's when I whipped out the Color Portfolio app by Benjamin Moore and started to virtually see the colors onto my closet real time. I just wanted to see what virtually painting my walls would look like. That way I knew I was kind of going in the right direction. And yes, I'm going to use my favorite color, which is black. So I started to bookmark through the color wheel on Benjamin Moore's Color Portfolio app. You can save them to your favorites and then refer to them later and implement them into the space so you can see them directly like onto a photo or a video. Totally your choice. But if I'm being quite frank, I think that this app is great for the people that particularly like tend to reach out to me and say like, where do I start? You start with paint. And if you can't see it, this is the perfect opportunity for you to just download the app and see it real time on your walls so you can get a better idea and move forward and feel more confident, in my opinion. Benjamin Moore also has an entire page dedicated to painting tips, DIY home improvement projects, and just walking you through some basics of painting if you guys are feeling a little bit lost or maybe you just need somewhere to start. So I linked it down below for you in my description box as well. And as if that is not helpful enough, you can download the Color Portfolio app as well that you saw me use previously. This will help you just get a grip on what color that you want to use within the room prior to purchasing your Benjamin Moore. It also might just lend a little bit more inspiration and maybe open you up to being a little bit more free with color choices. You never know where it's going to go. So be sure to check it out. I've linked everything down below for you. Thank you so much, Benjamin Moore, for sponsoring today's video because, quite frankly, your girl, I fell in love with the quality of this paint. I have to say, I really feel bad, but I also don't because I think as somebody that has been progressing within the spaces, you also need to test out different paints, which I never really did before. And using Aura, even just with one single brush stroke, I can tell it is such a difference. It is such a higher quality. And I was very intrigued, instead of rolling it, to spray it to see what kind of coverage that would give within the closet. And as I just said, get creative with your colors or feel more free. We're going to be doing a basic black and white, but not just any basic black and white. For the actual closet portion where the clothes are going to be going, I wanted to spray that jet black, and I've also listed all the colors down below for you in the description box for reference if you guys need them. And I decided to spray because I just felt like rolling would be way more tedious in cutting out those crevices and just going back over it. I just feel like spraying it cut my time in half, and I don't typically spray things, but I was thoroughly impressed out of the amount of coverage that was happening, even with a newbie sprayer like myself. As I mentioned, I am new to spraying. I personally thought I was wasting paint spraying the walls because I wasn't doing it evenly, so I decided to cut those in myself and roll them on, which I'm doing right here. I just wanted to kind of explain it. I just didn't feel confident in my spraying ability. Oh boy, here the comments come about my use of plastic right now, but I didn't trust my sheets or my drop cloths to not get any type of white onto the black that we just spent all this time spraying. So I tarped it off like a Dexter series and moved forward with rolling the ceiling versus spraying because I just felt like spraying the black and then painting the white was way more easy since obviously there was more black to paint, and then rolling the white would be way smarter than spraying because the spraying got everywhere. Even though I protected absolutely every part of the door, ceiling to the bathroom, it just was a mess. So I was like, you know what, let's just go back to OG ways and roll it on. Phase 4, flooring. Let's talk about it. My brother Shane is a G, and he literally hooked up this flooring because he works for this company. So I was able to redo this flooring on a very family-friendly discount. And it was my first time doing the planks. I've done the one sheet rolled vinyl before and the Playroom Makeover, which I think you guys are familiar with. So it was fun to get tips and tricks from him and attempting it myself before I had to call him for help a little bit later. But I started off with a full, I'm using 9-inch wide planks. I like the thicker plank look. And he told me to put a little bit of adhesive and lay a full plank from where you enter and kind of start that way. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't want to go into depth about my cuts that I needed to make because I did them wrong, and that's where I called my brother in to help me. But I just measured accordingly, marked, and then used my jigsaw to notch it out and see if I was a pro like my brother, which I absolutely was not. What I found to make my life a lot easier first time around was buying a flooring kit, so that way I didn't have to kind of come back to house and be like, oh, I forgot a soft mallet. And also I bought an entire box of spacers that could easily adapt to different widths or depths, I guess, because I needed to be spacing out the planks from the closet and the wall all the way around. This definitely inspired me to redo the entire downstairs with my brother, which I cannot wait to film an in-depth tutorial on, because that's when all the real makeovers will be happening downstairs, and then maybe you'll get a house tour after that. But for right now, I am just really amped on the fact that this took me less than 2 hours. It's roughly 130 square feet, this floor. Given that I didn't do the finishing touches, like the things that needed to be notched out super particularly, because I asked my brother for help, since he's the pro in that area, why not get it done by him to make sure that the closet looks the best that it can? Phase 5, which is my favorite, is all in the details. This is where we add everything. We are going to be adding some modern trim. The other one was, I think, beveled, or it had like a little notch in between. It was a little bit more traditional, and I wanted something more clean. So I trimmed out the door with 2-inch trim, mitered the sides at 45 degrees to make sure they connect nice and smooth, and moved down to the baseboards, which again, I did a more modern take, and this is inspired by my pops because he is installing this exact baseboard throughout their entire house since they just redid their flooring and they're redoing their aesthetic, which you'll be seeing on this channel quite shortly. I will link this thing down below for you, but it is a handy little dandy thing to have on hand in situations like this, because that little sliver fit like a glove, and I swear I have to cut a piece down 35,000 times before I get it right. And even though there was a gap behind it, we'll ignore it because we can caulk that real easy, so don't worry about that. Now I'm going to be adding quarter round just to the closet portion, not to where you saw me just put the baseboards on the white wall portion. I am going to be nail gunning that into the sides, using joint compound to fill those holes and make them smooth, and then taping it off and painting it black to clean it on up. I also caulked, you know, you guys are going to comment either way if I say it wrong or right. Anywhere else I needed to be on the baseboard, the trim of the door, let it dry, and then painted over it. The next detail that I added, I didn't realize my lens was full of dust, sorry guys, were these 2 light fixtures. Before we had boob lights, let's keep it real, and I had 2 light bulbs in that were like a golden yellow. They were terrible. I opted to add basically 8 light bulbs and change them out to a daylight white because I hated how everything had a yellow or tan tint. And this just really gives you the true color of the clothes you're putting on. I know that sounds weird, but it was a pet peeve of mine, and it's my closet. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I moved out those silver rods that held the clothes and put gold-ended brackets and wooden dowels to hold the hangers versus that metal cold vibe. This cozied it up instantly. Just with 2 of the sections, I put a shelf above the bottom rod to give extra storage space or easy access for grabs that we typically go for that we don't need to have in our like pull-out shelves, if you will. I did swap out this skinny section for the pine shelving versus the white laminate to just, again, cozy it on up. And then I opted to hang these gold hooks for polonized robes because we're huge robe lovers. So we just made another cozy moment for ourselves. It's at this moment that I really just needed a break from detailing the closet, and I focused on sorting back through the clothes and putting them onto all black hangers to, again, go with the aesthetic of the closet. Make it look a little bit more cleaned up versus having like the white plastic, the blue, the black, and then the natural wood. Just make it all cohesive. It was later this night that I randomly had different ideas to detail this closet, and I have a glass cutter on hand that I thought, oh hey, we can add some mirrors to open this thing up. So I bought a 36 by 32 mirror from my big box store, had my glass cutter situation on hand, used it per the directions that it told me, cut it down to size, and I wanted to install the mirrors above each of those dressers, if you will, that Paul and I will have on our sides. I used mirror adhesive that is specifically designed for this purpose, and also the mirror holders that came with the mirrors themselves. I know that's a lot of mirrors in this sentence, but I let that dry fully before removing those screws in the holders because I wanted to frame them out once again to clean it up. The more that you clean up your space with little details like this, I swear it makes the biggest difference, and it is a very simple fix. So unlike velcroing the frame onto the renter-friendly bathroom mirror that I did, I am permanently adhering this to this mirror. So it looks like a framed mirror up into this space. I took the necklace holder from the previous DIY jewelry organizer that I showed you, but I wanted to make one for my earrings. So I just used a piece of craft foam that I had on hand, a thin piece of plywood, added some wood glue, put the foam on top, and then that cork that I had from that wall-to-wall cork board that I did recently in Holly's office, I added that right on top and let that dry. I decided to frame that out with some skinny scrap dowels that I had on hand, and I just used some wood glue to adhere that to the sides before I moved on to DIYing a bench. And don't even come at me right now. I DIY'd a simple frame for a small bench where all those shoes used to be because I actually shut the closet door, sit and meditate in there a lot of the time. So I thought this is an awesome opportunity to DIY a bench similar to the concrete top bench that I've done before on my channel and place that there for a meditation moment. I painted the base the same jet black Benjamin Moore that the closet was itself, and then I went in and stained the top pine, just a almost black stain that I could find to match the darker wood tone vibe that I was looking for. I moved us back into the closet after gluing that bench down and also decided to give Paul a minimal area for hats because I gave him a ton of hooks before and then he just stored way more than he needed to, and he really didn't need to be keeping that many. So I just put 3 hooks on each side of his mirror for some hat storage. And then move forward with protecting the top of our dressers with a piece of wood that I cut down to size and stained it this similar bench stain. I added a piece of art to my meditation area as well as the vanity light that an electrician installed because I'm not about to try to install a new wall box situation. And then double layered the rugs for some texture. Before we only had 2 laundry baskets, and Paul is a professional skater. He literally goes through clothes like there's no tomorrow. So I just made a space for 3 baskets. I still need to order the 3rd from Target. They didn't have it in store, but it'll give us way more room than we had before. Besides the fact that the drawer pulls are not going to be in stock until May 12th, they're very minimal top drawer pulls. I linked them down below for you. I am obsessed with how this transformation came out. I opted to display my purses up on my side and my dressier shoes, as well as that earring display, just somewhere where right when you walk in, it's kind of a wow moment. All in all, I am pretty blown away with the amount of work we did in about a week's time. I mean me, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if I can do this in a week, and yes, maybe not everything is picture perfect, but if I could do this in a week, so can you. I've never done a closet before, and here we are. And yes, there are things I can definitely perfect and go back and fine tune, but that's how you know you're capable. That's how you know that you can do it. You just got to give it a go. So again, take away what you will from this closet makeover, but I do have to say thank you so much to Benjamin Moore for sponsoring today's episode. And please just take a step back and realize, yes, the makeovers might seem massive, but if you don't just try it, if you don't just dive in, you never know what you're capable of transforming in your own space. So give it a go. And just another little reminder for the influx of comments that are going to come in and be like, where do you keep all your shoes? I will link the video for you to show you that we have an entire shoe room with the amount of tennis shoes that Paul has in his life. I will see you guys soon for another DIY. Thank you so much for your patience, your love, and your support. I can't wait to show you what I'm going to be capable of in the month of May. See you soon.